Conservative new media viewers, JLin fans around the world, Charlotte Hornets fans around the world. What's up? It's me, PFE, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. We're here to discuss Charlotte's 108-103 victory tonight over the Minnesota Timberwolves in Charlotte, North Carolina. With the win, Charlotte improves to 34-28 on the season. They are now 6 games over 500, and it's only the second time all year which they've been that many games over 500. The last time came when they were 14-8, so many months ago. This is great news for the Hornets. This is their 4th win in a row. They've won 12 of their last 15 games. This was the 3rd game of a 7-game homestand. So as we've talked about previously, now is the time to really beef up the win-loss record. And that's exactly what they're doing so far. And it was good to see them get it done again tonight. What happened in this game was that Charlotte's bench was much better than Minnesota's bench. And so anytime Minnesota played their bench, they simply couldn't score the ball. And Charlotte held off a late Minnesota run. Very late in the game, Minnesota went on a big run. And it actually wasn't completely locked and set that this was going to be Charlotte's victory until JLin hit 4 free throws down the stretch, which we'll talk about that later. Okay, now coming into this game, there's something that I put out on Twitter, and I'll just mention it briefly here. I went back and I looked at a video from the March 1st game against the Phoenix Suns, which took place in Charlotte. Yes, it did. And there's a moment in that game with 10 minutes and 41 seconds left in the 4th quarter. And this is when you're watching the Charlotte feed on NBA League Pass. And somebody put a video, including this moment, up as part of a JLin offensive and defensive highlights from that game. So you can see it there, too. I put this all out on Twitter. And JLin drives to the basket, and he's fouled. And right after Jeremy got fouled, they then showed Kemba Walker on Charlotte's bench. And you could see him talking about JLin, and he was talking to Aaron Harrison and Courtney Lee. And the gist of what Kemba said, what I could tell that he had said in reading his lips, was that Jeremy's fast and Jeremy is strong. And he was basically praising Jeremy. And Aaron Harrison agreed that Jeremy was fast, and Courtney Lee said that Jeremy was strong and aggressive. What I like about that is usually when people don't think you're paying attention to them, that's when you get their most honest feelings. There's no reason that Kemba had to say anything right then. And it was basically Charlotte was blowing out Phoenix. And this was kind of, they were up by like 35 points. This is early in the 4th quarter, and it was just basically like the game was already over. There's no reason for Kemba to have to say anything. He could just say whatever. You could tell, though, that in that moment, you could really see his respect for Jeremy and communicating that respect to his teammates. And that's great. Like I said, I think this is a much different circumstance than what Jeremy has dealt with the last several years in the teams that he played with. This is somebody on the team who is considered one of the cornerstones of the team, and they like Jeremy and they respect Jeremy and Jeremy's ability. So I had noticed that before, but I didn't have a chance to go back and look at it. And so I went back and looked at it and spent some time trying to read lips, and that's essentially what was said. I'm pretty sure of that. So that was good to see. Now, as I mentioned, Charlotte won tonight's game because their bench was better and because they outperformed Minnesota when they had to down the stretch of this game, and that definitely included JLin. Let's go over the statistics very quickly. Timberwolves were led by rookie Karl Anthony Towns, 28 points, 14 rebounds. Andrew Wiggins, 25 points, 5 rebounds. Zach LaVine, 19 points, 4 rebounds. Karl Anthony Towns is unbelievably good. This is the first time I've really watched him play an entire game this season, and he is just amazing. He's only 20 years old. He has a superior level of skill. So this is definitely somebody to watch for the next decade or more, particularly given if he stays healthy, because I looked it up and his true height is about 6'10" and barefoot. But he has very long arms, long wingspan, tall, long standing reach. Your arm length matters than what your height is. And just to give you an idea, Akeem Olajuwon was about 6'10" and a half, and Karl Anthony Towns is about 6'10" and a quarter. So he's definitely big enough to play center and dominate at that position. He has a good vertical leap. He can hit shots from up to about 17, 18 feet with regularity. He's got all the post moves. He is going to dominate, and it's fun to watch him play. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. He's the best player on Minnesota. No offense to Zach LaVine or Andrew Wiggins. Hornets were led by Kemba Walker, 34 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. I mean, Kemba's playing fantastic right now. He is shooting the heck out of the ball, particularly from three-point range. 6 of 9 from three-point range tonight. And he had 21 points in the third quarter of this game. Just was on fire. Marvin Williams, 15.7 rebounds. Nick Batum, 11 points, 5 rebounds. Al Jefferson off the bench with 20 points and 6 rebounds. Al is getting to the point now where he's really starting to get his legs back and his game conditioning back. And he's just starting to dominate in the low post. And guys can't stop him. Like I said, I mean, Al is so skilled at low post moves, and he's so big physically in terms of bulk. It's nearly impossible to defend him one-on-one. And so if teams do that, then Charlotte's going to give them the ball, which is what happened a lot against Indiana in I think the last game. Minnesota tried to do it some. It didn't work. Then they double-teamed him, and if they double-team him, then Al's going to throw the ball out to wide-open shooters, and they're going to get easy shots, which is what happened tonight. So it's good to see Al kind of rounding back into the condition that he was in before he had the surgery, before he came back from the surgery, which is several weeks ago. Al's still not fully up to game shape, though. That's probably why he's still coming off the bench. JLin, 9 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. Jeremy played 23 minutes, shot 1 of 8 from the field, including 1 of 4 from three-point range, 6 of 6 from the free throw line, 1 steal, no block shots, 3 turnovers, 1 personal foul. Jeremy's plus-minus was a plus 14. How did Jeremy look in this game? I thought he looked pretty darn good, actually. Now, you listen to the 1 for 8 shooting, it sounds like he was horrific. But he really wasn't. 2 of his shots were buzzer beaters. 1 was a half-court shot, like, I don't know, at the end of the halftime, maybe, or at the end of the first quarter. Another one was a three-pointer with right at the end of maybe the third quarter, or something like that, at the end of the third quarter. So those are 2 shots. You can throw those away right there. Several other of his shots were in and out. Like, they almost went in. They just kind of slightly came out. He only had 1 or 2 real, just straight-up misses in this game. One of his jump shots was short, and I can't remember. I think maybe 1 or 2 other ones that were along those lines. But overall, I thought he looked good in this game. He played good defense. He performed his role the way he's supposed to. He had a number of unconverted assist opportunities, meaning that there were some assists that he could have gotten if guys had made shots. And he was brought back into the game very late after it looked like Clifford was going to just go with Courtney Lee down the stretch and that was it. And then he was critical to the win because not only did he make free throws when they needed to be made, he also made a couple plays to get the free throws that were also critical. And we'll detail that. I'm not going to do a full quarter by quarter, but I will do quarter by quarter for the fourth quarter because that was Jeremy's best quarter, and that's when you can really tell what effect that he had on this game tonight. So it's like I said, look, this isn't Jeremy's best offensive season, and there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. He's not starting. He's playing behind a player who's having his best year of his career in Kemba. Kemba plays a lot of minutes. Jeremy isn't looked at to have to score a bunch on this team or to have to make a ton of plays, so he doesn't always have the ball in his hands. He's playing a lot of shooting guard this year. Still, he's having a good year, and he's progressing as a player. Definitely progressing as a player. So, as I've said in other videos, I'm pretty content right now with how he's doing this year. The only thing I can say from just from my own standpoint that I wish was better for Jeremy this year was his shooting percentage, particularly from three-point range. But Jeremy mentioned that he's working on his shooting form. He's changing his shooting form, and that has had an effect, and it was going to have an effect on his shooting percentage this year. So when you take that into account, I mean, there's really not a lot to be upset about, I don't think. Of course, as JLin fans, we like him to play more minutes, but he's still playing a good number of minutes. He's still playing the most minutes off the bench. Now, Al Jefferson had 26 minutes tonight versus JLin, 23 minutes off the bench. But Al's a starter. I mean, Al's basically a starter. I mean, Cody Zeller, who started tonight, had 21 minutes. So Jeremy's still the core piece off the bench. Courtney Lee, 27 minutes. JLin, 23 minutes. It's pretty close. And I think there was a matchup reason why Courtney Lee played much of down the stretch as compared with JLin, and I'll talk about that when I just go over the fourth quarter, quarter by quarter. Okay, so that's about it, and let's get to that fourth quarter, quarter by quarter. Early in the fourth, now Jeremy's already in the game. He came in late in the third quarter with 2 minutes and 58 seconds left. That's when he came in to set up his being in at the start of the fourth quarter. At the beginning of the fourth quarter, Charlotte was up 82-75. Okay, as I mentioned, Kemba Walker scored 21 points in the third quarter, and things looked pretty good for the Hornets at that point in time, heading into the fourth. The lineup at the beginning of the quarter was Kemba Walker playing point guard, Jeremy at shooting guard, Jeremy Lamb at small forward, Frank Kaminsky, power forward, Al Jefferson playing center. What I noticed immediately was that JLin was the person, well, I think late in the third quarter, JLin was being used to guard Andrew Wiggins, which we've seen JLin set up to guard small forwards before. He's done it against Doug McDermott of the Bulls. He's done it against Kyle Korver of the Hawks, I think, when Kyle's playing small forward as compared with shooting guard. Jeremy's strong enough to guard certain small forwards. And I think the reason why he was doing it in this situation was so that Kemba and Jeremy Lamb could guard some of the quicker players. Kemba was guarding Tyus Jones, and I believe Jeremy Lamb was guarding Zach LaVine. So those guys are a little quicker. Wiggins is quick, but he's bigger. And if Jeremy's strong enough and he's got the leg strength that if some guys try to post him up, he can handle that pretty well. And I actually that would come up here in just a second, and I'll mention it right now. So Jeremy at the beginning of the fourth quarter, he got a foul against guarding Andrew Wiggins. But then right after that foul, Andrew Wiggins tried to post up Jeremy. Andrew Wiggins is about 6'7" and maybe about 210 pounds. Jeremy's 6'3" and about 195 pounds. Andrew Wiggins couldn't post Jeremy up, meaning Andrew's not strong enough to back down Jeremy. Jeremy didn't let him move him. He couldn't move Jeremy at all. And then Andrew Wiggins did a turnaround jump shot from the post up, and he missed it. So Jeremy played terrific defense in that possession, and I think it was a good decision by Coach Clifford to have him guarding Wiggins a little bit because it worked. Okay, so after that defensive play, Charlotte came down and scored. That made the score 86-75. Minnesota took a timeout then with 10 minutes and 33 seconds left. Yeah, and then I made the note that says JLin has been designated to guard Andrew Wiggins. So this is what they wanted to do. It wasn't like he got switched on him. This was the plan, and it worked. Then Andrew Wiggins came down on a fast break, and he did not have the ball in his hands, but he was running to get position, and Jeremy just stopped. And like basically let Andrew run into him. And there was no call made. It was basically, you would think it would have either been a charge or a block, but nothing. But it just showed you Jeremy's very aggressive and can be very aggressive defensively. And I think Jeremy felt pretty good about his strength level as compared with Andrew Wiggins' strength level. Andrew's a pretty lean guy. And it has been noted in an article I read this year that Andrew's not somebody who's really into working out in terms of weightlifting sessions for the team, whereas Jeremy is a big-time weightlifter. If you've followed him or whatever, he's very strong and gets a lot of time in the weightlifting room. Okay, then Jeremy had his 6th and 7th misses of the game. That would be his final 2 misses of the game. The first one, he drove to the basket on the left-hand side and got smacked in the face by Gary Chen, and no foul was called. And then he was blocked on a little backdoor reverse layup attempt on the left side of the basket by Karl Anthony Towns. It was just a good play by Karl Anthony Towns after a nice move by Jeremy to get himself open. Right around that time, Minnesota made lineup switches. And so at that point in time, after Minnesota's lineup switches, now JLin was guarding Ricky Rubio rather than Andrew Wiggins. Okay? Heading into the middle of the fourth quarter, Jeremy got his first and only steal of the game. I did not see the play, so I can't tell you exactly what happened. Then Jeremy got his first and only basket of the game. This is where a situation where Al Jefferson was passed the ball on the left side of the low post. And Al Jefferson went in, started making his move, started to set up for a shot. Minnesota came down and they double-teamed him off of JLin, meaning that JLin's man went down to help guard Al Jefferson. Soon as Al Jefferson saw that, he threw the ball back to JLin. JLin caught the ball, did a hop, shot a three-pointer from about 15 degrees left of the top of the arc, and he nailed it. That was really, really nice. Then, after that play, Jeremy did end up guarding Andrew Wiggins on one particular play on a switch, and Andrew Wiggins appeared to elbow JLin in the face when he was trying to post him up. What I think was happening with Wiggins there was he was frustrated that he couldn't move JLin. Whenever you post up, you use your strength to back down the man, to move him, to push him towards a basket. And Wiggins couldn't do that against Jeremy. And I think it frustrated him. And the next thing you know, Jeremy got hit with an elbow in the face, is what it looked like. And he could see him say that to the referee, even though no foul was called. Then Jeremy had his third and final turnover of the game. Jeremy drove down the right side of the lane, and he was double teamed on that drive. And to Jeremy's left, Al Jefferson was wide open right beside the basket. Jeremy threw, I believe, a bounce pass to Al Jefferson, and unfortunately it was picked off. However, after it was picked off, Jeremy immediately looked to the referee like something wrong had happened. And Trade Street Post told me on Twitter, as another couple people did, that the ball was kicked. And so it should have been a kicked ball violation. And how that works is you are not allowed to kick the ball deliberately. However, sometimes you will see the ball get kicked, and it won't be called because the referee determines that it wasn't a deliberate kick. Jeremy thought it was a deliberate kick, and a couple of other people thought it was a deliberate kick as well. It wasn't called. Jeremy gets the turnover, and right after that, Minnesota came down. They scored. They had just scored 4 points in a row, and they were starting their comeback here. Clifford called a timeout. Charlotte up by 9 points. There were now 5 minutes and 47 seconds left. And after that point in time, Jeremy came out of the game for what I thought was going to be the final time, but it wasn't going to be the final time. And I should mention this. Minnesota was starting their comeback, but it was a small comeback. Their big comeback was going to start a couple minutes later with Jeremy out of the game. Okay. Now moving on into late in the fourth quarter. Marvin Williams hit a three-point shot. That made the score 100-85 for Charlotte. Charlotte is now up 15 points with 3 minutes and 50 seconds left in the game. Should figure this game's over. It's done. That's it. But it wasn't over. Okay. Then two graphics were put up on the Charlotte Hornets broadcast. The first one is that Charlotte is 26-6 when they score 100 points this season, which is a tremendous record. The second one was that Charlotte is third best in the league in fourth quarter field goal percentage defense. What that means is that opponents of Charlotte shoot the third lowest of any team's opponents in the NBA this year. That's really good. That basically means Charlotte's picking up their defense considerably in the fourth quarter. And those are two very good indicators. Okay? Now, Minnesota started to come back very strong after that 100-85 score. And pretty soon the score was down to 104-99. So the 15-point lead had been cut down to a 5-point lead with 25 seconds left. So this game wasn't quite over yet. The reason why I think Coach Clifford took Jeremy out, I don't think it was because of the turnover. It's possible, but I don't think that's what it was. At that point in time, when Jeremy came out of the game, Kemba Walker came back into the game. And Minnesota was playing with Ricky Rubio, Zach LaVine, and Andrew Wiggins as their point guard, shooting guard, small forward. So if Jeremy stays in the game at that point in time, and you figure that Kemba's going to guard Ricky Rubio, then you either have Jeremy guarding Zach LaVine or you have Jeremy guarding Andrew Wiggins. Now, we saw that Jeremy can guard Andrew Wiggins, and he did a pretty good job against him in this game. Still, Andrew Wiggins is 6'7" and really athletic, and Jeremy's 6'3" and not as athletic. It probably does make more sense to let Nick Batum guard Andrew Wiggins at that point in time. Similarly, Courtney Lee against Zach LaVine is a better matchup on defense than Jeremy against Zach LaVine. Jeremy's had some difficulty guarding Zach LaVine in the past. Zach's super quick, and he's really athletic. And this is another situation where Charlotte didn't need offense. They needed defense. And so I'm not saying that I would have substituted Jeremy out then, but I can kind of understand why Clifford did. Okay? But now with this 104.99 score and 25 seconds left, then JLin was substituted back into the game with Jeremy came back into the game, and Al Jefferson had come back into the game about 20 seconds before that because Cody Zeller fouled out. So what you had now, after Jeremy came back in, was Kemba Walker, JLin, Nick Batum, Marvin Williams, and Al Jefferson. And that's the unit on right now, because what Clifford needed at this point in time, rather than just defense, he needed people who could handle the ball. He needed people who could shoot free throws well, because Minnesota was almost certainly going to foul. So your guys who can catch passes, make passes, hit free throws, and make good decisions. Guys who can make good decisions with the ball. So Jeremy comes back in. Charlotte goes to inbound the ball, and they nearly turn the ball over. Okay, so that would have been a disaster. And, and right after Jeremy came back in, Minnesota scored. So now the score was down to 104 to 101. And at that point, Minnesota was on a 16-4 run. Then Charlotte nearly turns the ball over on an inbounds with 14 seconds left. After that play, Charlotte went to inbounds the ball again. Two guys went to the ball. Kemba tried to get the ball, and I think Nick Batum tried to get the ball, and neither of them could get open. Jeremy ran down from about half court to almost right underneath the basket of Charlotte. He got the ball before 5 seconds passed. You have to inbound the ball within 5 seconds or it's a violation. And he got fouled immediately. So not only was Jeremy setting up to hit crucial free throws, he made a play so that Charlotte could get the ball inbounds. At this point in the game, Charlotte had no timeouts left. So if Jeremy doesn't break for the ball and give somebody for, I think, Marvin Williams to pass into, Charlotte might have gotten a turnover because of 5 seconds on that play. That's a huge play by JLin. Really big heads-up play. Gets the ball, gets fouled, goes down, hits 2 free throws. That makes the score 106 to 101. Then Ricky Rubio gets the ball. He turns the ball over. Then Jeremy once again gets the inbound pass, and he is fouled instantly with 9 seconds left. Hits both free throws. That makes the score 108 to 101 with 9 seconds left. Minnesota gets a final score, which Charlotte didn't care about, and that ended the game 108 to 103. So JLin was crucial in the last 25 seconds left of this game. And the biggest play that he made was getting open so that the ball could be passed to him with 14 seconds left. And Charlotte was able to make that inbounds pass, having no timeouts, and your 2 options that you wanted to throw the ball to weren't able to get open. And then, of course, Jeremy hit the 2 free throws. That sealed the game for Charlotte, or pretty much sealed it. And then, of course, Jeremy got the pass again and hit 2 more free throws. So, look, like I said, Jeremy's not putting up monster numbers, and the PER isn't what it used to be, and so on. But he's important in these games. And this is kind of another, I'll have to give this kind of a split in terms of who was the finisher. Because like the last game, Courtney Lee and Jeremy both finished this game. So it's been pretty much even for them since Courtney's come over. It's been 8 games, and it's almost dead even. And look, Jeremy came through when he needed to come through, and that's good. And I'm glad that Coach Clifford went to him late. They needed a play made, and Jeremy made it, and that's what he does. That's why he's there. So that is about it. Look, a good night overall. I was really happy to see that little exchange between Kemba Walker, Courtney Lee, and Aaron Harrison from the Phoenix game. When I looked that up again, you can see the teammates like Jeremy. They respect Jeremy. Jeremy had a big impact on this game, and he came through when he needed to come through. And I'm glad that the team won. The team is solidly in the playoff picture right now. They need to continue to win, but you can tell they're feeling confident. They're getting their swagger back, and they've got, 4 more games in a row at home, and they're all winnable games. And I expect the team to hopefully, if they stay healthy, keep on winning. Keep on winning and get yourself even better and better positioning for the playoffs. And let's move forward from here. Next game coming up 2 days from today on Wednesday, March 9th here in the United States against the New Orleans Pelicans at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That means the game will take place on Thursday, March 10th at 8 a.m. in the morning in Taipei, Taiwan, and throughout China. New Orleans is talented. They're actually a fair amount like Minnesota. They're pretty good on offense. I don't think they're that great on defense. They certainly have talent. Anthony Davis is a phenomenal player, but Charlotte will be favored, and hopefully Charlotte can win that game, and let's just keep moving on from there. That's all I have to say for tonight. Thumbs up, thumbs down, your comments below. Thanks, Gary Chen of the JLin Garden Group, fan group, for the artwork you're looking at now. You can learn more about Gary and about JLin Garden if you follow the information for them in the video description below the video player. Also there in the video description, information so you can check out highlights of this game. Finally there you'll see information of how you can come and join the Conservative New Media Facebook group and how you can come follow us on Twitter as well. Once again, I am PFE Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative New Media. We strive to be the #1 JLin YouTube fan channel. Sorry, my voice is a little grovelly tonight, more so than usual. I don't know. I guess I haven't drank enough liquid tonight or something. But look, it's just another good win. And it's like I said, it's hard for me to be disappointed in Jeremy with how he's playing. Okay, he's not hitting shots. He's playing well. He seems very relaxed. He's important to these wins. He's getting a decent number of minutes. It is down a little bit from what it was. I think Clifford is experimenting with some rotations, though. I think he's experimenting a little bit with when he's doing substitutions and stuff. So I think part of that is, I think that's part of what's going on right now. Of course, the main issue or the main relevant thing for JLin fans is, does Jeremy finish out these games or not? Tonight, it did not look like he was going to, but then he did. So, look, let's just, we have to see how it plays out. But Jeremy's playing. He's important to these wins. He has an important role on this team. I think he's happy. I think he's comfortable. I think he's being coached well, basically. And the team's winning. And Jeremy's improving. So it's, overall, I feel pretty good. And I'm hoping that Jeremy will continue to get his shooting form even more locked in over this upcoming summer, and I'm sure he will. And that'll make his game even that much better. And we'll just have to see what happens as regards his future and where he's going to be. Is he going to be in Charlotte or is he going to be somewhere else? But I know there's a number of people that are upset and unhappy, but as much as I want Jeremy to be given the ball and allowed to do his thing, it's hard for me to be down about this. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the team, and I think he's progressing. So let's just play it out right now, and then we'll take it this summer, and we'll see where it goes from there. Okay, that is it. I hope you're having a great night or great day wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. Take care, and we will talk to you again soon in less than 48 hours as we're wrapping up winter here in the Northern Hemisphere, and I guess that means that summer is ending down in the Southern Hemisphere. Talk to you again less than 48 hours as Charlotte Hornets versus New Orleans Pelicans 2 days from now. Also, I should mention that the JLin bobblehead doll night, which will be this upcoming Saturday, March 12th at Time Warner Cable Arena, has been expanded. It was going to be for the first 5,000 fans that came to the arena, and now they've expanded it to the first 7,500 fans. So if you live in and around that area and you want to go check out Jeremy, get there early so that you can get one of the free JLin bobblehead dolls. Take care. Talk to you again soon.